everyone. I am Ravi Gupta. I am a CEO and founder of Elets Technomedia Private Limited. We publish a magazine called BFSI, the Banking and Finance Post, for last 7 years. And besides that, we have been publishing a magazine called E-Governance, another magazine on e-health, and another magazine for digital learning for past 16 years. And we work in the field of innovations and ideas. So our aim of this webinar is to discuss about the impact of COVID-19 on the insurance industry and how the insurance industry is dealing with it, and what are the emerging challenges and opportunities for this industry. We have an eminent panel here, eminent set of professionals and experts of this industry are with us. We are honored to have them here. I welcome all of you on the panel, and thanks for joining. And I welcome all the audience who have joined us here on this platform. So I will request each of the panelists to introduce about themselves and their organizations for 2 to 3 minutes each, so that the audience has a context about the organizations of the experts. So may I request to start with Mr. Sundar Krishnan. Please speak.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for inviting me. And I'm Chief Risk Officer of Reliance Nippon Life Insurance. And it's a life insurance company which is on the transformation path. I handle the crisis management committee in charge of legal compliance, risk management, BCP, information security, and other functions. So it's a daily crisis that we have every day to deal with the COVID-19 situation.
Thank you, Sundar, for joining. May I request Mr. KV Deepu to please introduce himself.
Thank you, Ravi. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Deepu, and I head operations and customer service for Bajaj Allianz General Insurance Company Limited. COVID-19 has been a remarkable change in many ways, and as we all know, it's a global phenomenon. I think from a servicing perspective, our digital capabilities have really come to the fore, and we've received extremely good feedback from our customers and from our partners. And on the overall front, just like everybody else, we're keeping our fingers crossed and hoping that the virus comes to an end quickly, and we are back on path. Looking forward to a good discussion today.
Great. Thank you, Deepu, for joining with us. May I request Mr. Dhirendra to speak?
Hi, I'm Dhirendra Mayavanshi, co-founder and CEO of Turtlement. We are a 5-year-old organization. We are in the business of creating technology for insurance distribution. We have a pan-India presence of about 1,200 employees in about 120 cities. And we offer technology to channel partners. We have about 76,000 channel partners who use our platform to distribute insurance. I have spent 18 years in the insurance industry, started my career with ICICI Lombard. And what we are seeing here is unprecedented. I have not seen or experienced or would have never been prepared for what we are facing right now. But as we are experiencing this, we also see several silver linings, businesses evolve, and amazing opportunities to create new value going forward. I look forward to the discussion today.
Fantastic. May I request Amar Joshi to please introduce yourself?
Hi, Doctor, and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Amar Joshi, and I work with SBI General Insurance as Chief Business Officer. It's a 10-year-old company promoted by State Bank of India. In the current scenario, I think it's been more than 5 weeks now. So we are past the discussion on problems and challenges, and we're extremely busy discovering growth opportunities in the new normal. Only thing that we are cognizant of is the fact that our employees need to be very well taken care of, and their safety and their families' well-being is of paramount importance. Having protected that, we are past problems, as I mentioned, and excited about the new normal and the new opportunities which are coming up in front of us. Excited about the next 45 minutes. Thank you.
Fantastic, Amar. Thank you. May I request our speaker, uh, Mr. Singh, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm good afternoon. This is Visheshwari Singh. I work with a company called Universal Sompo General Insurance. So I see a fair sprinkle of guys from the general insurance side in this seminar. And our company is also promoted by a couple of banks and a foreign partner in Sompo from Japan. The interesting part that we are seeing in this scenario is that when I see a risk officer here, when we used to have a risk management committee, we never used to really take it seriously. They said, alternate disaster management side, how do we work in this scenario? It looked like something that we didn't really believe in. And my risk officer has suddenly become the busiest guy these days as we try and scale up and, try and meet up with this scenario. But the most interesting part is we are largely driven by, 1st April business was kind of lined up for the industry as such. So April has been a little smoother because some numbers rolled in on the first day of the year, and by the time 25th, it had 1st April had taken shape by itself. But as we move forward, May is something that we are also wondering. We see some amount of businesses going down. The good part that we see is that working out of home seems to be becoming a reality as of today. So with these thoughts, I go back to Dr. Ravi Gupta to take this forward.
Thank you so much, Mr. Singh, for your inputs and introduction. And your comments about the chief risk officer are very interesting because that's the most important person in any organization today. So we will start this panel with the discussion on the challenges of the situation. And in the second round, we will ask about the opportunities and discuss about how we come out of the challenges. So and we also discuss about the disruptions, how this whole situation has disrupted the industry itself. So may I request Sundar to please talk about challenges and disruptions.
Yeah, so yes, it's tough being a chief risk officer, but it has opportunities now that people take you more seriously. Otherwise, pandemic was one of the risks, and we did visualize it in the risk dashboard. But yes, wasn't considered so safe. We all thought BCP is great, and it's best to have 2 disaster recovery centers in the country. For case in point, in my company, we have it in Bangalore and Mumbai. But that's about it. Nobody thought that the situation of trains being closed, buses being closed, post offices not functioning, courier not functioning. No one thought of this kind of a scenario. I mean, I can go back to Y2K days, year 2000 bug. That was the time when these things were thought through. Lifts won't work, buildings won't work, lights won't work, and things like that. I remember. And we've gone through in detail, and we had done lots of simulations. All these things after that year 2000, and that bug never unfolded because it was sort of a scam. By the business community considered that nothing happened. Maybe preparations were great. So from 2000 to 2010, 20, nobody thought such a scenario will unfold. And especially when you are shunted out of your office those last few days, and I was saying, Corona case hai, baaju mein niklo, office band karo. And that's the time given to you to plan. So there's no planning. It's actually, so you're supposed to work in emergency mode right from day 1 or 0 day. Nobody thought this would come. And so we have several challenges on the infrastructure. As I said, transport is a big issue. And somebody goes by auto rickshaw, is fined. He has to pay a challan of 1250. So the branches again are tough. Now, of course, the red, amber, and green zones are there. In green zones, you're allowed to work because insurance is an essential service. But even when it was an essential service, some of my employees in remote, we have 727 offices. Some of them had challenges to reach the branches because police would not let them go. There was a lathi being put on the car and said, go back, you're not allowed to work. And then he shows the card, he said, nothing, closed. So that's the kind of scenario. So out of 727 odd branches, we have managed to open only 360 or 65 right now, because we have to continuously watch red, amber, green zones and accordingly plan our operations. So that's the major challenging. Other challenge, of course, is the economy and stock market, which is beyond your control. Jobs are crashing, people are taking care of their essentials, and then you go and call them and tell them or her pay the premium. They get lost. I have to now organize bread and butter and bhaji and grocery, and you coming and I believe that there is a 30-day moratorium given by a regulator. Come after 30 days. Let me manage to survive first. So that's the kind of reactions you get, and so infrastructure assets and the government and economy is in a state of shock. Stock markets again highly volatile. We have those investments that we do, life insurance especially, unlike general insurance. A lot of money of customers' money or savings that we invest, and we see that suddenly dwindling. There is a fair market value depreciation that you need to take care of. That could bring down your capital like crazy. Solvency calculations. And in an insurance company, we keep solvency of 150%, while others might have only 100. We're supposed to have 150. But that's what it's more than 200 right now for our company. But with all the volatility of stock market, we don't know where it will end. What would happen? So it's a continuous watch. Every minute you keep tab of the stock market. Then, of course, the macro challenges of banking, especially you can see that there is a contraction in the economy happening. Fitch rated and said GDP 2%. Today there was some prediction of -1%. So with that kind of scenario, you worried what will happen, and especially on the credit risk side, I keep watching the investments. Where have we put the money? Portfolios, we have to bear the loss, and some portfolios like linked, customer bears the loss, but insurance is by and large non-linked, and so you would have especially a traditional company. So then you'll have to have a constant watch on the portfolios and stock market. And so we believe again the country itself will have a problem because the fiscal deficit will go to 6% probably, highest ever. And then you would have rating issues with Moody's, and we have to pray and hope that the ratings don't go to subpar or subgrade, sub-investment grade, the country's rating. But on all this, I am very, very hopeful, as some speaker said, about the people of this country. They're great. We're very resilient as a community, and I'm sure we'll fight back. I remember when the bomb blast happened, next day people were up and running in trains, Mumbai trains. I'd seen that. And so, given that kind of a scenario, I hope we bounce back quickly. The only issue is the numbers, the incremental rate of corona doesn't seem to be going flattened, and that's the worrisome. Once it gets flattened, we are up and running again, back in action. Of course, with several safety issues, especially employee safety as a stakeholder. We need to take care of each and every employee. The permissions are now given on the basis that as an employer, you are responsible for your employee safety. If somebody gets corona, you are responsible. And so you'll have to really ensure distancing, sanitization, thermal screening, only 2 people in the lift or 4 people in the lift. So employee as a stakeholder is also important. Of course, I have forgotten the most important stakeholder, customer. So customers are somebody whom we are reaching out to, telling them that, are you safe? And sending messages and asking them to not to be worried about the market. Your money is safe with us, and something that assurance you must reach out to the primary most stakeholder, which is customer. Pay claims on time. We have started getting COVID claims, and we're paying them on time quickly, so that the claim we're seen as a responsive industry. We can't say corona hai, office band hai, aapka claim nahi bharenge. So claim has to be paid very quickly. That's very important message to send out to customer. So covered infrastructure, covered government, regulator. Regulator is somehow more challenging now. Apparently, I mean, so many more information is being sought on solvency, on liquidity management, on state of the financials, actuarial data, products data. And so regulators have become savvy, and then so we have to respond to regulators very quickly in phone, in WhatsApp. And several new initiatives have been launched on the positive side. So I think we will cover that later. Right now, I think I have to cover the challenges. So challenges is to remain, in a nutshell, to remain solvent, to remain healthy, to serve our customers, to take care of employee safety, to take care of our shareholder, of course, continue to be profitable in all these shocking, changing, ever-evolving and volatile. That's about it, yeah.
Sure. Fantastic inputs, Sundar. You have set up the context very well. May I request all other speakers to please keep your mic on mute, and I will request Deepu to speak, please, on the challenges. Yeah.
Thank you, Ravi. Since Sundar, gave a very, elaborate explanation of the challenges faced, I'll keep it crisp. I'll basically say that challenges are basically on three fronts. I think, like Amar said, we are right now 5 weeks, into the lockdown phase, and it's right now a little difficult to visualize what life was, 5 weeks back. So I think the first challenge, if you go back 5 weeks back, is that this was completely unprecedented. I don't think, any organization had a BCP, which took coronavirus into account, right? So that was the first challenge. You had to come up with solutions because you didn't have any precedent. The second, which is where Sundar went into great detail, is how do you keep the lights on, right, in this situation, right? Even as you take care of your employees, you take care of your partners, take care of your customers, right? How do you work from home, right? How do you ensure that the company continues to function, right? It's a combination of the company functioning while being focused on everybody's safety and health. So broadly, I think that was the second challenge. And as I said, since Sundar covered all the details, right, I'll not go more into that. The third challenge is what's going to happen once this pandemic, comes to an end, because there are various scenarios being played out today. It's nobody knows, when it is going to end. There are multiple, forecasts, right? Because it's a global phenomenon, and there are various factors at play, right? Because the government is trying to balance economy and health. So in that interplay, right, we'll have to see how it pans out. Some features will be more permanent. Work from home, like we said, in big cities where people spend a lot of time commuting. Work from home, for example, will become a more permanent feature. So we'll have to see how much of the new stays and how much of it goes back to status quo. So I think that's the third challenge. So I would say one which happened before the crisis began, in terms of this being unprecedented. Second is doing everything we can to stay alive during the crisis, and the third is how do we manage the post-COVID world.
Well said, Deepu. Very crisply you explained the situation. May I request Mr. Dhirendra to speak about the challenges?
Yeah. So unlike the respected panelists here, we are not an insurance company, and so our challenges are slightly more business oriented, which one of the big challenge that we faced initially was an immediate drop in the business, and we are in the business of retail, and the challenge around operational and also demand created one big cash flow management as a problem for us, and one of our first priority was to protect the organization. And when I say protecting the organization, I would mean protect the employees, to ensure that they are safe, they are working from home, and also ensure that the organization is protected by way of us looking at all areas of cash flow. So I mean, in the startup world, I mean, this is one of the first action that probably all of us took, which was reach out to everything was open for renegotiation, including real estate, vendors, software licenses, ensuring that you tackle the contracts and protect and reduce cost as much as possible. On the employee front, as an organization, we created an employee task force to protect and guide the employees on what is to be done in case there is a positive or there are symptoms, and how do you ensure that you don't get infected by it. So ensuring practicing social distancing from day one. I was very fortunate as a company that we've had only one case out of 1,300 employees, and that person has been treated and is out, and so far everybody else has been fine. The third challenge was actually moving to a work from home model, where in today's day and age, it's assumed that everyone would have a home Wi-Fi and infrastructure to be able to get on the VC model to work. But we did have a set of about 300 to 400 employees who, which we realized surprisingly did not have that kind of infrastructure. And in a very short period of time, which was fortunately many were in the Mumbai vicinity, but in that short period of time, as a company, we had to really reach out and create that infrastructure in their homes so that they are able to go back and start working effectively. So it did. There was a bit of a dip in the in our backup in the operations for about a couple of days post lockdown, and but after that we bounced back, and then we were 100% up and running. The external challenge that we see as a part of the startup community is that increasingly the various funds are looking at more local kind of deployment. So India was a very attractive destination, and we were seeing interest in the insurtech space, where from European markets, US markets, and even from China, we were seeing very high amount of interest to deploy capital in this space, and it was one of the focus areas within the fintech space. I would say that there is a bit of a sort of a pause there. We don't know whether it's a short pause and we are going to be immediately sort of get back in action the moment lockdown is open, which is what I hear, by the way. But there is definitely a bit of uncertainty around ability to raise that kind of capital, which otherwise was poised towards being deployed in the country. Having said that, we have been like you mentioned, we have been 5 weeks into it, so there has been a recalibration of capital, and going forward, hopefully when the markets open up, we start seeing some of it coming back to us.
Fantastic. Dhirendra, thanks for giving me the whole scenario of the situation. May I request Mr. Singh to please respond on the challenges.
Good afternoon. So as I was listening to the speaker, some of the points that they did come across, but being in the general insurance industry and not maybe being one of the most superior technology-driven company, we did face certain challenges. You know, we find that our industry is a lot of contact industry. When you go and visit an agent or a broker, it leads to a certain amount of warmth, and a lot of business conversion happens out of that. Suddenly that was out of space. So what happened was, when we started looking inward, the positive thing that we saw was that when we started getting policies to customers on time, certain orders came from the IRDA that grievances should be handled, claim handling became an important thing. We started connecting with our team on all India basis, on an everyday basis. We found that to be a very big positive, because we would not speak to so many of our zonal managers and branch managers all over India on a regular basis. We do that. So maybe one good thing that we see is there's a lot more connect. The challenges that we see is that suddenly I have to get my audit done. I have to send data which is internal to my company to an outside statutory auditor. I have to set up a mechanism of how they can audit my files. My books are getting this. We have to answer queries offline, and auditors are sometimes very tough people. So the first sincere challenge that we are facing is that we close our books and find out where we stand on profitability. The second thing, we have the gentleman from operation. Big challenge in an initial period for us, because suddenly we had a lot of people in the VPN network was collapsing all over for us. So we couldn't get these policies going, and those e-pauses were collapsing. But after a week, we saw things coming steady, and we were able to stabilize. I think what we see is that if we have to really work from home and if we invest a little more, it might become a serious option. But for the GI industry, we still see that sometimes we connect with the agents and all is a little weakened, and maybe they were also not able to do business in April. So we did see a little significant downfall in the month of April of retail premium that was coming. The month of May has started. Health premium, we are getting some innovative policies, we are getting some larger tenders and all that. So those are exciting things. The numbers might get compensated. But motor business is the first line that has really suffered and is a very significant line of business for us, for our industry as such. So there are challenges, but the challenge is not what will happen in April or May. The challenge is what does future foretell? If things open up, and then maybe if you tell me in June everything's going to back be or July everything is going to be back to normal, I don't think that there are too many challenges that we see. But long term, we are looking at different options. If we get squeezed to go back to work in different manners, you know what? Sometimes they say there will be a backlash of that. Work cultures might change. You know, we might get some instructions on some people working from home. So I think net-based, you know, these kind of webinar opportunities for us to do training for our employees on this, all this has come up, and you know, we are learning out of that. So that is all I wanted to add on this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. Thank you so much. May I request Amar to please respond on the challenges, please?
The shortest response could be all of the above. So, well, in interest of time, I won't do any repetition. Obviously, the prime worry and the concern was well-being of the employees and being very agile and forthcoming and proactively reaching out to the customer and saying, hey, we are there, don't worry. So I think as an organization, we've done a phenomenal job there. We have an EMT committee meeting that was immediately formed, chaired by all the senior guys, including our managing director and deputy CEO. I think I draw a reasonable amount of satisfaction in the way organization at SBI General responded with enthusiasm and agility, keeping in mind the employee and the customer at the center. Of course, in hindsight, there are many things that we could have done better, but no one knew how to deal with this kind of a crisis. So from that point of view, I think my organization responded extremely fast and keeping employees and the customer at the center. One or two things which I may add as a challenge. I think cybersecurity is a challenge because you are opening up your accesses using VPN, and our risk officer friend is nodding. I can see that concern. I can see his affirmation. Yeah, that's an added challenge. There are people who are trying to take disadvantage of the situation. That's an added challenge. We just finished, like most of us, our next year planning, new year planning exercise around say mid of March, and then suddenly the old plan needs completely grounds of fresh look. So that's another challenge that came up. But I think in this scenario, internally we did a good job. I think somebody spoke about regulator, but I think in the larger good, the way industry bodies and the way regulators have responded, I have my appreciation and admiration for that. I think it was job well done, though it increased some work, but I think it was all for a larger good. And maybe a little philosophical, but I think these challenges look so small and trivial when you see on the television those daily wage workers carrying their families and walking 100 kilometers to reach the hometown. I think we got no right to complain about our challenges.
Well said, Amar. The last line was complete sixer. Like that's taking the ball off the boundary. Actually, yeah, that's the very important. That compared to that, there is no other challenge which is big at all. Nothing at all. So let's after like discussing the challenges, I will request the panel to look at what is the way forward, what is the silver lining in this dark clouds, or what are the emerging opportunities, how can we convert the challenges into opportunities. So may I request to start with Sundar to respond.
Yeah, so the silver lining is the change to the business model that we have. I mean, even much 2 years before or 3 years before, we had gone on a transformation path from a traditional life insurance company to a digital edge or digitally savvy company. But having said that, we have had several challenges even in that journey. But now suddenly nature has forced us to be faster, smarter, speedier in the transformation journey. I can see a 60% jump in the e-conversions now, contactability and e-conversions. So what is done in a check is now done in direct credit to the bank account of the customer. But earlier bank accounts were not coming. We had we were such an archaic company. 47% of our transactions were cash collections, of premium cash collections. But now things you can't go and collect cash in this scenario. Even collecting check is a problem. And so given that, and then depositing the check and getting stuck. So given that kind of a scenario where courier doesn't work, post office doesn't work, what works is e-sales, digital sales. And therefore, the digital transformation journey, which we embarked upon 3 years, looked theoretical. Now it's a bread and butter, practically relevant. And that's where the real opportunity is, opportunity to change. I know for a fact that SBI Life Insurance doesn't handle check. It has only bank accounts and credits bank account directly. So about 6-7 years back, I was really surprised at that time. I said, wow, we've done that. And but we didn't change so quickly. I mean, of course, they have the banker player. They have the bank, home bank, which is the SBI largest bank, and the reach in terms of branches. So we don't have a bank. So, but that doesn't mean you don't need to change. And we had done this. As for instance, one of the lifeblood of a life insurance company is persistency. Persistency means collection of renewal premiums. Now, that was again a challenge 4 or 5 years back. But when we set out digital transformation, we collected more and more ECS mandate from the customers. So that mandate is to automatically debit the bank account with the premium collection. So these are the things that help in this business model change, the transformative change that comes about. Now you're looking at bots on WhatsApp. So implementing that, we talked about bots in customer collection, commission payment, and things like that, customer complaints. But now we're looking at bots at WhatsApps, SMS, Bitleys, and how do we work through these things? So we're coming up with innovative processes, innovative risks, well considered, well thought through. And these risks are now an opportunity or a necessity of the hour, because you take image of check and then accept it and hope that the system will come back quickly. But these are of course short term. The long run, of course, the movement to E is key. How do we work from home? That's the best opportunity. Of course, cybersecurity is one of the biggest challenges, and so it has thrown up new challenges for information security, which reports to me, or the function that is under my belt. In terms of how do we add security policies and security rules, moment a customer logs in from the personal laptop, desktop, or a employee logs in from a personal laptop or a desktop, or a business partner's employee logs in from a personal laptop or a desktop. The challenge is how do you put in the security policies, rules, regulations in a very seamless way, or even if it is not seamless, in a not in a problematic manner. There are no delays, undue delays. And so when the problem occurred, we had to scramble ourselves to harden laptops, desktops. People were carrying desktops home, laptops home, and things like that. Laptop, of course, was meant to be carried anyway. But then I have to go and harden the laptop and desktop and hope that security parameters. Then I have to educate my customers, educate my employees, not to click on WhatsApps, not to click on SMS, etc., unless you're sure of it. The PIVC that you do, verification calling that you do to make it sharper. Now, do you run maybe later, video forensics and cyber forensics? So, because there are going to be a lot of morphism that will happen. There are going to be a lot of problems that would occur. Other, of course, problem we were already grappling with is the ransomware and the malware attacks, which could shut your systems for ages. And then they not only that, they take the data also. The data gets leaked out and then it's put in the dark net. And then you get several complaints later that my credit card has been misused and the leakage is from your organization. So we worried there. That's why so many hardening and security issues need to be tackled upfront. The other opportunity I see is for the business to transform along with digital transformation, the model change, as I already said. I think I'll leave it for other speakers to add on this time.
Sure, Sundar. Thanks for highlighting the new ways of working and new opportunities. May I request Deepu to please respond?
Yeah. Thank you, Sundar, and thank you, Ravi. One is that, when you go back to the solutions to the challenges that we spoke about, we were prepared, and we believe that we are a digital company, and I think our capabilities came fully to the fore, during the COVID era. In fact, there is a joke doing the rounds on many WhatsApp groups, right? Who's responsible for digital transformation? Choices are number one, CEO, number two, relevant CXO, number three, COVID-19. I guess the answer is fairly obvious, which is why, as I mentioned, our customers and our partners have been extremely delighted by the way, we ensured a seamless shift to digital servicing. So I think that's something which has really helped us, sustain ourselves, during this period. So that was the first part of the answer, Ravi, to the query that you posed on what are the solutions, from a challenges perspective. Second is going forward, right? What's likely to happen? One which we all touched upon earlier, work from home will become a more permanent feature. It's a win-win for the employee as well as for the organization. The employee doesn't have to spend time on travel, especially in the big cities. If somebody is spending 1 or 2 hours one way, right, you can potentially save, 2 to 4 hours a day. And even for organizations, it's a cost saving on expensive, real estate. I think Amar made a very valid point on cyber security. I think that's the new risk which is now there, as people work on devices from home. And as it normally happens, right, organizations will evolve, to meet that challenge. So that is one area, which will come sharply into focus. The other is going forward in the new normal, some things will change. For example, we're already seeing that people are becoming much more conscious of their health. So, health insurance, within general insurance, is expected to see a big uptick. And I think that is something, which will definitely be a focus area for a lot of people, going forward. Similarly, we'll have to see, how the, other lines of business, play themselves out. For example, as I mentioned, if you look at motor insurance, the car sales have to pick up because only when cars get sold, can insurance be provided. So we'll have to wait and see, how the situation plays itself out, depending on whether the lockdown gets lifted in a staggered manner, depending on the location, right, the red and the orange and the green zones, over the next few months. Cyber insurance, again, is an area which can pick up, right, because as you become more digital, right, the need for ensuring your digital assets will go up. So there are opportunities which will, emerge, right, as we go through these big moments, right. Some things will change, and I think the whole idea is, to keep our eyes and ears open, and be agile. That's broadly what I'll say, Ravi. I think we have come through very well, in this crisis in terms of being digitally right up there, be it servicing our partners or customers. And going forward, as new segments emerge, right, we'll try and capitalize on them.
Fantastic. Thank you, Deepu. May I request Dhirendra to please respond on the way forward and the opportunities?
Yeah. So I will I second the points mentioned earlier, so I will not repeat those points. But some of the things unique to us as a company is that we distribute insurance through channel partners, and these channel partners are about 80% of these channel partners are in tier C, D, E kind of cities, and our distribution would happen through a platform, especially in the localized. We are in 9 languages in the country. In our evolution as a company, we have faced one challenge pre-COVID-19. It was getting adoption, because people would prefer warm body, people would prefer a face-to-face meeting with their customers and then sell. What we are seeing a significant shift there is that our distribution partners are have now quickly adopted the platform. We are seeing some of the highest levels of adoption from a platform point of view. So our daily active users, our monthly active user has significantly shot up. The belief that you can distribute insurance by being face to face, but not necessarily actually meeting, but being on video conference, has started coming back. In fact, one of our initial key priority post the lockdown was to reskill a lot of our channel partners to use video calling facility and also to use the platform to distribute insurance. And we were very happy to say that some of the very useful features which were earlier maybe probably missed by a lot of our partners, were sort of realized by them by how the product could be very well explained, and we have an algorithm that allows them to match the product to their customers' requirement, and how it is very easy to use the platform. So there was a silver lining there for us. So we doubled down our effort on that, and it became easy for us, because in the earlier world we would do a very offline meet and greet kind of an activity, which would take 3 days for us to organize, and 200 people would come together to a place, and there would be all sort of time and effort required to being able to execute that. But this completely transformed into fully online. Like every day now, 6 o'clock, we have different regions carry out this what we call reskilling presentations, and I'm able to actually connect to at least 1,000+ partners on a daily basis, which earlier was possible, but probably we had not even, us being we being a tech company also, we had not even thought about it. So that's phenomenal. That allows us to scale the platform at a much higher level than earlier ever thought of. The other advantage that we are seeing is that the appreciation of technology in being able to be quick to market. So along with one new age insurer, we had partnered with them back in March 12, in the second week of March, and quickly launched a COVID-19 product within a time frame of 2 or 3 days. So it's now really possible to create and co-create new products, go to market quickly, get response, and then fine-tune the product. Especially given the the sandbox architecture that the regulators also come out with, we have an opportunity to test technology and really go to market very, very fast. And we, as an organization, we believe that if we are able to enhance the skill of our channel partners by training them and by reskilling them to use a platform to distribute insurance in a much more highly productive and an effective manner, we would have really taken advantage of this opportunity and scaled up our business. We are also seeing demand for term and health insurance. It is not at the level of March, but it is far higher than what we would have seen in the month of April. And if I were to compare month-wise, the health product for March was, for us, was 3 times of that of February, and in the month of April it is about 60% of that of March. So it has not gone down to the Feb level, and health continues to be in demand, and we are seeing consumers wanting to buy policies. Term insurance is also high in demand, but operational challenges are, especially for high ticket size kind of policies where you require underwriting and health checkup, we are finding it difficult to process those kind of cases. But the silver lining for us is, which is what I've been sort of talking about, is that going forward we wouldn't have to really introduce insurance as a concept because of our low penetration. We have a large opportunity, especially in small cities, which is where most of our distribution partners are.
Fantastic. So with this, it seems like that this has become more of an opportunity rather than a challenge in this situation for you, Dhiren.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
May I request Mr. Singh to respond on this? The emerging opportunities. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Dr. Ravi Gupta, thank you. Dhiren, of course, is an insurtech company. So I think, these are the guys who were anyway telling us that this is the way forward. There are certain companies in our industry which seem to be emerging, like ACO and all, which think that technology should be the only platform, and we have to shrink the office size, people work from home anyway. So these are concepts which are coming to India, and yet had not got that 100% adaptability. So I definitely see, if the bandwidth, which we find sometimes, the quality of conversation going down, we find a disconnect and things like that. If it is really strengthened, if I can get the same wavelength at home in punching a policy at various locations, even rural places, I think that, this option is not so difficult. It just needs every time there is a situation which is challenging and you're pushed that this option is not available, the other one becomes equally tenable. further, as we see to our industry, we face two things that I think are paramount. One is that we have to do top line, but at the same time, profitability has been something that our industry has been grappling with. We keep coming up with this word COR, and very few of us are able to have, profitable COR. We go over 100% so many times because of administrative expenses and things like that. You know, the silver lining we see in the month of April is that our motor claims have gone down drastically, because we don't see cars coming on road. We even see health claim reporting going down drastically. So we see, well, if it is a silver lining, that we see profitability has been slightly better in that. So even though numbers have shrunk a little bit. So we do see a little bit of positivity in that. And the second thing we are seeing is, as we are trying to strengthen the system and try and work from home, and a certain protocol is being set and people are able to do that, if you know it takes a little more time, I think it will get strengthened. The challenge that I see yet emerging is that some of our friends in the manufacturing sectors are really, losing out. And we might have this property premium going down drastically on the larger factories and things like that. That is a little tragic also and a little worrisome also. But retailing doesn't seem challenged because, if motor is slowing down a bit, health is picking up. And I think the industry will not suffer too much of gaps in numbers as such. I had done about 170 crores in the month of April last year, and I should do a little more than that in the month of April this year. So, I have not really degrown, though I have not done my targets because my growth rates are taken a little more ambitious, but I am still going to be in the positive of what I did last year. So April has not been too bad. May, as we look into the month, slightly we'll have to find new ways because, we see a little bit of shrinkage in motor businesses, and that's the biggest line that is going down. In COVID-19, we are getting a lot of premium, but we don't understand, after 6 months or 4 months, are we going to get hit by huge liabilities? So that's a open-ended thing to a certain extent. We've been writing to the council to say that you bring standardized treatment. If you bring in, let us say, health treatment has to be done, it has to have a fixed cost to it. If those could be things, the protocol could be set. A lot of people are going to government hospital. There are a lot of opportunities. So I see a profitability opportunity, and not the best place to be in profitability to speak of. And I see also that things are going to stabilize. And I think the insurance industry is one of the lucky, general insurance industry is at least lucky. I don't see they will see anything in next couple of months very drastically going down as volumes go. So it's a stable situation. We are much better than a lot of people. And we don't have looking at salary cuts. We are not looking at pushing people out. We are looking at recruitment only. So it is still positive day, but we are a very reasonably small company in the company size. The large ones like New India and ICICI Lombard might face some more challenges to scale up at that level, but we are comfortable, so to say. Thank you.
Yep. Good to know that your April numbers are better than the last year numbers. So this is a good sign and a positive sign. And you're mentioning about the standard treatment protocols for COVID. So that the rates are defined is a very important part. May I request Amar to please respond on the emerging opportunities.
Sure. See, from our point of view as manufacturers, we call this as insurance. But that's not the language for the customer. For the customers, the language is that I'll manage my life. Just in case something goes wrong, help me get back on my feet as fast as possible. That's customer's language. And from that point of view, I think our relevance has become only more. I think the whole awareness of the fact that there is a risk, the awareness that there is need for protection, the fact that I need a plan B, and the fact that nobody will now say कि मुझे कुछ नहीं होगा, is only going to be positive in ensuring larger protection and an all-rounded protection for everybody. So I think that is a brilliant opportunity. The conversation is going to become more meaningful with the person who's carrying the risk. So that's a positive. We have been very fortunate in terms of our business growth, quality of business, We had excess of 40% year-on-year growth last financial year. One of the other great strength of the organization has been the LOB or the portfolio mix. If you see, we are not dependent very largely on any one line of business. We have a well-rounded, if you see our pie chart, a wonderful mix of multiple lines of business. I think time is only telling us that that was a wiser thing to do, and continue to focus on a very well diversified channel mix and the line of business mix. So that is relearning that we need to continue to emphasize on. I can only say we are more energized and more agile than ever before. And we carry this tremendous responsibility for the title of the parent company that we carry. And that makes us even more responsible towards customer, towards regulator, towards compliance, etc. And in that scenario, we have to find way to grow our business more sensibly. Tremendous opportunities, a lot of silver lining. The financial inclusion, the overall penetration of insurance is going to be solved in many ways. I wish there was an easier way for one to learn, but this is what we have.
So, Amar, just to add on the question, are you seeing that the company revenues will grow this year compared to last year? Will be bigger growth in this situation? Are you saying that, Amar?
So we are recalibrating our business plan. We are in the process of doing that, and that should happen over next couple of weeks. But we are very clear that we've identified some new growth engines. We've identified what needs to be done to leverage those growth opportunities, and we are working very fast on that. I think, as one of our friends mentioned, that we've been trained for more face-to-face environment, and then we have everything except face-to-face. So there are some learnings. We are implementing those learnings, but we are moving pretty fast. This company has been growing in excess of 30% year on year for last many years. For last many quarters, company is making underwriting profit, and we have no reason to lower our own expectation from ourselves.
Fantastic.
Doctor, we can't hear you.
Lost you, Mr. Gupta.
Yeah.
So I'll take a few seconds just to fill in so that the audience has some.
I think I'm going to go ahead. You should go ahead.
Yeah. So I think though we all said customer first, and everybody has been putting a lot of efforts around making consumer and customer first, but I think in this scenario it's becoming even more relevant. So everybody is wanting to retain their customer. Renewals have become more important because fresh business is slightly under challenge. So everybody is finding alternate ways of retaining what we already have on the book. How do I go back to the same customer and cater to more of his need? How can I be, how can I be the lifetime value partner? So I think the customer centricity is only growing in the industry, and that I can speak for all my colleagues as well. I think that's true for everybody, not just for my organization. So that's a brighter thing, that we care for customer even more. Not that we cared less, but we care more now.
Absolutely. I mean, every customer counts now. And these are tough times faced by customers at the end of the day. Common man.
Okay, so we are going to touch 4 o'clock. If he doesn't join us back, do we go off or how do we do this?
I think we have time till 4 p.m. So we have a duty to continue the show.
Yeah.
We have audience,
Okay,
and we have a
all
duty
right.
towards them. So why don't you add
have
something?
so much to
please?
say. Yes, sure.
Let's help each other.
Yeah. So actually I was listening to you, Amar, and I found something very interesting. I think as any insurance company, customer first is absolutely a must. And if you don't get that right, you're going to lose people. So he's absolutely got a very valid point. And the whole thing, I think one synopsis is that we really have to care whether it's an employee or a customer, and they should feel that we care for them in such difficult times. And a very important message that has come. I mean, I really appreciated that, and I completely understand that, because even if I get one call now on claim, I'm also the chief grievance officer. We try and address it much faster because people are worried that that I can't get through numbers. Sometimes I can't get that, so we have to scale up. But we are lucky to have Mr. Ravi Gupta back, sir. Would you like to take over this last session, please?
I think he's trying from an alternate device. We should give him 30 seconds for that. But good to hear your comments, guys. Good to hear your perspective. I think we have a lot in common, but also a lot of new things to hear from each other.
I agree with that, Amar. I think a very interesting perspectives, from everyone. So it's a good learning session, even for each one of us. It's been wonderful.
I think last year all three of us. I think last year all three of us were in underwriting profit. I think this year the result is just about to come out. Let's pray that we managed to get into the same situation.
I think Ravi cannot hear me, but I had told him that I'll log off at 4. I have a call at 4. So I'm just logging off. Nice meeting all of you. Please stay in touch.
Yeah, lovely meeting
Cheers,
you.
bye.
Ravi, nice meeting you, Deepu.
I just wanted to know if you have come up with a new product on pandemic, especially on the health side.
Come up with a new product on
Pandemic
this
covering
Corona.
COVID. Yes.
Yes. I think all companies have come up with it. All GI companies have a product for that. I think Dhiren will get in touch with you and sell a few products, huh?
But
everybody has a product right now for this situation.
I just have a take on that COVID product, if I may share that. I think it's very important that whenever there is a new risk that comes up, one wants to get protected. But I think there is a bigger lesson here. And the bigger lesson is that there will always be, unfortunately, something as an unknown risk which may hit me. And hence, if I were a consumer, I'll buy more of comprehensive cover and not a disease specific cover, because I did not know that there could be something called COVID that may come up. So I just hope and pray that nothing new comes up.
But Amar is saying is, Sundar, standard product, all of them cover COVID. So it's like there. But yeah, specific covers have come, but he's right. Everybody covers because it's like an illness. If you get it. So
anyway,
doctor,
like a responsible panel, we managed the show while you were off for a few minutes. I don't know that was by design or that was by design to test us. But back to you.
So it was like COVID, so my lights went off at my apartment and Wi-Fi went off, and I so I'm sorry for this. So I was
How are you on time, doctor?
looking at so we have just around say 15 minutes. So we are at we will close at 4:15. So I will read out the some of the questions which have come on the screen. What will be the strategy for the insurance sector and what impact do you see post COVID-19? There is another question is around which technology in your view will be fill the workforce gap during the pandemic period. Technology for workforce. There's a question around at a time when the common man is suffering from loss of income and industry unlikely to recover from liquidity issues in the medium term, road ahead for the insurance sector will be tough. Would an aggressive marketing campaign and new product launches help to tide over the crisis? There's another question on deploying new technologies to ensure cyber security is the need of the hour. So what's your views on this? And there's a question around we are a IT service provider and we just want to know, will you go for automation and spending on automation, or will you postpone your automation spending for next 6 months? So if like you may respond on some of the points on here. Like one question is that will your spending on IT will in next 6 months will increase or decrease? Let's ask Mr. Singh or Sundar to start with. Mr. Singh.
Yeah. So I think, it is right now for us work as usual. In the sense, we have been spending a fair amount on IT because, we needed to scale up to that level. And right now we have a very similar budget, and we don't think that, we want to cut down because technology is important. So I think for us, we are going to spend a fair amount on IT, and I don't think we are looking at any cut downs at the moment. And I think we had already approved a budget for our IT, and I think it's going to be work as usual. So not really scale up, but what we had planned for is what we are going to go ahead with. There are going to be no cutbacks.
Excellent. Mr. Sundar, your view on this?
Yeah, I think next 6 months at least, we're not going to do anything additional. But definitely in the area of cybersecurity, work from home, facilitation, there has been already IT spending as we speak, ongoing additional IT expenditure, especially to secure personal laptops, desktops, and things like that. Facilitate work from home. Maybe we'll spend additionally on cybersecurity for enabling work from home. So those spends will be additional. Other than that, there will not be any additional investments. We have to conserve resources now because to face the macro impact. We already see a dent in business, 10% dent in the April month business. So we are praying or hoping that the flattening of the curve happens sooner than later. I'm sure, of course, we will flatten it quite fast, hopefully 2-3 months, but you never know. So if it continues or prolongs, or if there is some outbreak again due to monsoon and things like that, we have to be mindful of that. So there should be, so we don't want to spend additionally in a major way. So certainly, of course, we will make these strategic changes where we do shift to home. Business model change, business strategy change is already happening as we speak. The transformative change is already happening as we speak. So those are the changes in transformation. So this is the answer for all the 4 questions.
Sure. Mr. Amar, your views on the IT spendings, will it be same or will it increase or decrease in next 6 months?
Well, sometimes the spend may not be a direct reflection of focus on automation, but if the question is that will you have more focus on digitization and automation, the answer is obviously yes, yes, and yes. Every single customer journey and the distributor journey, from sales to service to claims, most importantly, is being relooked at and is being automized and is being digitized for obvious reasons. So there is a massive focus on that. In fact, there is also a little bit of reprioritization happening to make the consumer's journeys even more faster and better and through digitization. So there is a massive focus. And if there was a way to measure digital index of an organization as on 1st of April this year, and if we have the ability to measure the same 12 months from now, I think the jump will be at least 3-4x, if not more. So that's the my take on that. There was a question on will you do aggressive marketing campaign during this time? Can I take that?
Yes, yes, yes. Very important. Yeah.
So I think, I don't know whether aggressive marketing campaign is the right word, but at the same time, there is a need to reach out to the customer and offer them risk protection. But there is a very tough times. The customers have got a lot of challenges, and hence in any marketing communication, there is a need for us to be very responsible and sensitive. I think responsible and sensitive is very, very important for any communication, marketing, or campaign that we may do. That's my take on those campaigns.
Very important point about sensitivity. Yes. Dhirendra, you want to respond on any of the points?
Yeah, I'll speak about the tools that are needed now going forward. So we have a significant population of product and tech, and earlier tools like Slack were essentially dedicated to only those kind of teams. But increasingly, we are thinking that there is a requirement to, if the retooling is the right word, to move away from the current way of doing business. We are not going to be going back to the same old way, and we are not fall back into that. It's going to be a complete transformation in the way we work, and the tools that are going to be needed are going to be different. So new collaboration tools that allows people to work from home, but be as effective as earlier. And it basically, while you're in a lockdown phase, there is also this challenge that you don't want to take any large transformative decisions right now, because you are not sure about how it is going to impact everybody in this lockdown phase. But there is definitely going to be a time frame within which we'll have to start looking at retooling, and start seeing how the sort of organization is able to sort of be agile and able to ramp up to that level. We are a technology company, and so our primary focus has always been investment in tech and creating solutions from a tech point of view. But what we'll do now is we'll move away from maybe a lot of experimentation, and focus more on things that are working. Maybe eliminate, say, about 60 to 70% of the new pilot or experiments that we were trying, and then divert this resources and energy towards what we believe is going to be transformative. And in that sense, not really reduce the dollars that we would be spending, but more energies towards more directed effort that we are looking at. On the business side, we were planning to do 2,500 crores this financial year. That is going to be a little recalibrate from a premium point of view. But like Sundar Krishnan mentioned, that the business compared to YOY is not really very different. And so for us, we were earlier on a growth path of about 3x YOY. It's come down to about 1.2x from a growth point of view, but we are continuing to grow. So that will probably allow us to take our size to about, say, 2,000 crores plus, but maybe not hit our earlier target that we were in.
Fantastic. The last question I want to ask you is that the rating agencies and the financial agencies have given a projection of growth rate of India for this year, from someone talking about 1%, someone talking 0.5, someone talking 0.2, someone talking about negative 1%, something like that. So each does that in any way, like 5 years back, 6 years back, we were around 7%, 6%, and now we are talking about 0% GDP growth this year. So is it like in any way going to impact your industry? Mr. Sundar, your view on this?
Yeah. So definitely, I can already feel the impact, especially in the April month. There is some contraction in collections and new business. Having said that, thankfully it's the beginning of the year, and we have next 11 months to make up. And it all depends on how protracted this problem is. I guess it's very difficult to predict given the scenario, especially whether we beat the advent of rainy season, or generally monsoon season diseases break out. So I'm hoping that there is no revival or a part 2, Corona part 2, which is more devastating. And if that doesn't happen, and we manage to flatten the curve much before rains start, and rains bring in prosperity, that's the optimistic side of things. It all depends on how things evolve after 2 months. If things are better after 2 months, then the job scenario improves, macroeconomy improves, everything improves. Stock market would improve. Market is already revived a bit after 31st March. So I'm hoping that revival would happen. Government has taken very courageous decision of lockdown at the right time, and I'm only hoping that this flattening of curve, which they're speaking about, happens faster, 2 months or a 1 month time. That happens, then we're through. Then I think we'll easily make it up. Whatever loss or the dent that April month revealed, we will break it up. Like my general insurance colleagues already mentioned that they are actually seeing incremental business. So that's one part of life insurance would see some kind of contraction in April. So given that kind of scenario, a bit of unpredictability, that's why we have gone for a quarterly business plan. Or, we've not even made annual business plan, and then we'll watch the situation and decide. So there is a macroeconomic impact, definitely, as I see.
Great. May I request Mr. Singh to respond on this, the impact of the GDP loss
Yeah.
on your industry?
Yes. So our industry, there are a couple of things which happened which could be positive for our industry. So we saw, certain amount of rate hardening on the property side of premium. So premium has gone up because of certain agreement, because these rates have hardened on the property side. There are certain fixed rates that they have set up. So we saw some things improving. Of course, if a lot of industry starts going sick, and a lot of business starts closing down, it will definitely have an impact. We can't be away from that. But if you see the creature of what insurance is, our largest market segment used to be earlier motor and remains to be motor. Now, if you see sales going down drastically and business not going up, of course there will be some impact. So that is one industry where we definitely think that some business will shrink a little bit, and that is motor industry. We think that the property side of industry, which is not a huge line for me, for me meaning for our industry, but it has a lot of volume and profitability with it, might see shrinkage because we see certain factories going sick at this point of time. Could happen. And government will, if they bring in policies to sustain them, might not happen. But because insurance, GI is a little bit of compulsory insurance. So you need to a lot of times insure yourself. Health is something which is not compulsory in nature, but it needs to grow by itself, because it needs to sustain by itself. So we think that compared to what the market is going to go down, we should not see so much of shrinkages happening. But some industries are definitely bleeding, and it is going to have some impact on us. And if we come up with innovative things, the penetration level, if you see, of GI industry is very, very poor compared to the market. So so many of us, like people like some of us, would not have house insurances. We would not have content insurance. So if that acceptability buys in and penetration improves, I think our industry could still withstand this one and grow at a certain pace. That is GI industry, because I think this is already not a highly penetrated market as such. These are my thoughts. So that's where I would like to end my thing. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Amar, your perspective on the GDP decreasing so fast?
Well, I'm not an economist, but I'm just drawing a best case scenario. Let's hope that Q1 has got moderate impact. Q2 should have mild impact, and Q3 onwards we get back to growth. I think if I put all the data in front of me, I have reasons to believe that Q1 mild impact, Q2 low impact, Q3 back to growth.
Great. Good point. Dhirendra.
Doctor, can I be excused? I have another commitment which is started at 4:15.
We are like just ending what a minute. Like Dhirendra will speak and we end.
All right.
Dhirendra,
Okay.
you have a minute.
Sure, I'll stay back.
Yeah, I would describe the current situation more like not really. I mean, I would sort of separate the virus impact and the lockdown. And I would say that the economy impact has been essentially more due to the lockdown effect. And if you were to compare that to a doctor treating a patient, it is similar to, say, inducing coma in the person so that he gets healthier and then he sort of is revives and gets back on his feet. So it is not been a demand problem. Obviously, there are going to be after effects of this, but it is essentially to protect the overall sort of health of the nation, and then obviously the economy. So I think my personal view is that it's going to get back very fast. First quarter probably is, I mean, we'll not see any revival, but Post that, it's going to be a quick back to normal kind of a situation, is what is my personal, and I'm more of an optimist, and I'll favor a quick recovery of the business.
Fantastic. So with this, we will end it here, and I thank all the eminent experts here who joined on the panel, and all our audience who are watching this right now for your participation, question, and great discussions and debate. And let's hope that everything improves very fast. And this video will be available on the YouTube by tomorrow or day after. And I will request you all to share it if it is you like the discussions. With this, thank you all. Namaskar to everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you,
See you
everybody.
all.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you.